Hey guys, this is Jacob Horst, Trifecta Champion, and you're watching Garage Strength TV. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and click that notification button. Don't miss out on any of our videos. Peace!
So the question is, why are collegiate coaches not investing more time in developing technique from an Olympic weightlifting perspective? So I think that this question is something that I ask myself quite frequently all the time. We get emails about it all the time. We get messages on our AMAs on Instagram all the time. And we'll get direct messages of, high school or collegiate football players doing crazy power clean variations where their legs are splitting really wide. They're catching the bar here, hyperextended, and they continue to add weight and they keep going up and they keep going up, and their form continues to break down incessantly. And so what I think ends up happening is that I think a lot of it stems from the strength and conditioning world and from these coaches not having a background in Olympic weightlifting, so they're a little bit more tentative to get into it. They see the movements as these difficult movements when they're not, but they are intimidated from the beginning that they see this as a struggle, that it could take too long to develop a weightlifter, a football player to have proper weightlifting movement. And so over time, if we're gonna sit there and say, what do we know about weightlifting? Well, we know it's going to improve mobility in the ankles. We know it's going to improve mobility in the hips. We know it's going to improve thoracic, extension in the catch of the snatch. We know that the rate of force production is going to be extremely high in snatches and cleans. We know the power development improves dramatically when we're working with lifts like snatches and cleans and jerks. We know that these are the best movements for developing speed and developing strength. So why don't we use them? Again, going back to the lack of the background, but then further the lack of the resources. We have collegiate athletes that'll come back that are women that will come back, and these gyms that are at the best Division I Power 5 schools, best Division I schools, and they don't even have women's bars. Okay, so there's a lack of a resource. So on top of it, they don't even have women's bars. Then along with that, they're not getting the proper resources. They're not being educated on how to use what they have. They've got high-end platforms, they've got high-end bumper plates, but they're not actually being taught how to teach the movements. And these are simple things. Like I taught my 7-year-old son how to snatch and how to clean and jerk. He's 7 years old. He's not even a Division I football player. It doesn't take that long. So finally, if we go back to, it's intimidating, it's hard, and then on top of that, you've got a whole room filled with athletes, and you don't have the funding to have enough coaches in place to hold all the athletes accountable so that they are moving properly, that they are working on their mobility beforehand. You do have to be a little bit more hands-on with training weightlifting in the beginning. You do have to work on mobility in the triceps. You have to work on mobility in the lats. You have to work on opening up the pecs and opening up the shoulder girdle in the thoracic area. You have to work on loosening up your hips and loosening up your ankles. You have to do a little bit extra research. And that's the final part, is that it's intimidating because you've got to put out more effort as a coach. But in doing so, you start to learn how to analyze movement. You start to see different problems in an athlete, and you start to see things here and there, and you become a better coach. So that's what ends up happening, is that's hard. It's hard to be a really good coach. It's hard to analyze movement. But part of being a really good strength coach is being capable of seeing someone squat or someone snatch or someone clean and knowing where their issues lie. And I think that those are the three most intimidating things behind teaching someone how to Olympic weightlift at the collegiate level. It always goes back to the coaches generally they did not have a weightlifting background. They don't have the resources. Maybe it's the equipment. Maybe it's they were never taught how to do it. And then 3, it's intimidating because it takes more time as a coach to invest in those athletes. But the reward is much greater when you invest your time, you invest your knowledge, you invest everything that you have into your athletes, and you develop a full-blown system where they can actually mobilize while they're training for sports performance. You have this giant holistic system, and that's where you start to see the great results.